Architectural Builder Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Message. So this is a cell phone, right? I can text you on this. It says so.
Yeah, I mean, what are you texting me?
Well, I text you a picture.
I have all the pictures of the lock.
No, it was a picture of an attempt to download that PDF on Chrome.
Oh, we got
a failed message, but I was able to do it on Safari.
Yeah, let's move past that weird 1930
No, but
catalog. I
do have the catalog. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, just 1 second. Let me get off this other phone call. I'm going to get a number where I can call this person back. Do you mind?
Very good. No, not at all.
All right, so I'm going to put you on hold for 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Back to him. I know who it is. So tell me what we can do to try and find these lock terms.
I don't think that you can. So you've got a 1927 circa Russwin or Russell and Irwin entry lock. What city? You're out on the West Coast. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So so basically, to find what you need, possibly requires a time machine.
Right.
So I'm not aware of anywhere to get that turn piece. And what the turn piece is doing is allowing the functionality of a thumb turn on the inside escutcheon to work with that 100-year-old design of mortise lock, where there's not a separate entry point down below where the cylinders are to operate the lock. And that turn knob is the transmission by which that's done. So,
sure. My locksmiths were able to find something that just had a lip that was too big, and I sort of felt like I remember hearing about I forget which of the two, Rolls or Royce, was the expert metal worker who was kind of like an incredible craftsman. The one form of amusement he had is that he'd take a file and a cube of brass and he'd file it into a sphere, and then file the sphere into a cube, and just go on down making it smaller and smaller. That was his idea of a good day. And I'm just wondering to what extent, a good locksmith can actually adapt something that sort of fits, but maybe that's a question of like how long is a piece of string, like how good is a locksmith?
Definitely. We have, it's Royce is the answer. Down here in Naples, Royce. We have very early examples of cars at a museum that's here.
Sure.
Produced, and they're a chapter of the evolution of the car all to themselves. And it's literally the talent of the locksmith. And there are the bulk of us that are, we don't have an innate talent. We've got a developed talent, and it's how far you've developed it, right?
Right.
So I see three solutions possible. Number one is to continue your search, because there are vintage suppliers. There are antique people in odd places, odd corners of the United States that you can find a vintage Russwin lock. And if you can get one with the trim and it's got that thumb turn like yours does, that Art Deco style thumb turn, you're going to be able to cannibalize that lock to get your part. And I would expect
we owned a house that dated back to 1843 in Frederick County, Virginia. And somebody said, down on 151, there's another Greek Revival brick house, looks a lot like yours. You should just buy it for parts.
That's the truth. Yeah. Well,
all right. Vintage Russwin lock. See if you can bet that from some person. And with the internet, these searches are actually possible.
They are, and I can speak to that firsthand. In the pursuit of my credentials, I did bring in some vintage locks because I didn't know how they worked. In order to answer questions on a test, I did buy some old locks just to learn how they worked.
Cool.
So that's one. Number two is just a modern replacement. Get something from Baldwin. You're going to love what they have, and just remove everything and replace it all. Obviously, a escutcheon trim so that you're covering up all holes. Now, the idea, the third option that I like the most and it shouldn't be impossible, is that you take the inside escutcheon,
Yep.
you remove the thumb turn, you put that component down.
I'm taking notes. Just 1 second. Take
Oh,
inside.
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you shouldn't be sorry. I'm fine. I just hold on 1 second. Take inside escutcheon, remove thumb turn.
Remove that thumb turn. Get it out.
Yeah.
Cut it off. If there's a C-clip, remove it.
Yep.
Then what you do is put that inside escutcheon into a drill press, and you locate an 1.25 inch hole in the proper location.
Mm-hmm.
You then will use a modern mortise cylinder that is going to be just like the one you have on the outside, which is not original to that lock. And
Wait a second. Take a modern what?
Mortise cylinder, so that
modern mortise cylinder, right?
Yeah, just like the one that you have on the outside of your door now, except it'll have a thumb turn. It won't take a key.
And I'm sorry, you had said what drill bit size? It was 1
inch and a quarter would be the right size.
1.25 inch. Yeah. Okay.
And you'll take this mortise thumb turn and you're going to thread it in the lock body, and then you're going to secure it with that unused screw that's on the upper left-hand corner of your deadbolt when you're looking at the door open at the edge of the door. And that will secure the thumb turn there, and that will give you a permanent solution. Even though you've cannibalized the trim, it'll be a one-off, but it will solve the problem. And I don't love the idea of modifying that lock, but I personally, if I couldn't find one online, or if I did and it was $300, I might consider that, because that's going to be some cast material that will be fairly easy to drill through, and you're probably not going to run the risk of damaging it in the process. You obviously don't want to do that, because then you're really in trouble. Then you're replacing everything. Yeah.
There's an architectural salvage place here in San Diego that just has piles of locks. I mean, amazing piles of locks.
So the only thing I'd say about that is look for someone back east, because the evolution of American hardware manufacturers in the 19th century, it was New England is where it was all happening. So you'll find that density even 100 plus years later not up this way, but in New England. So as you search, therefore. But hey, you're in San Diego. That lock is probably original. Russwin is, they've been around since the 19th century. So, you might have better luck looking at somebody who's in Pennsylvania rather than California. But
and one of the things about out here is you really get the feeling that it was an outpost of the East. We have we did some work in this house where we opened up a wall. I actually measured the floor plan in 2 different rooms and suddenly realized that there was a wall that was weirdly 20 inches thick. And we, that's the thrill. And we cut into it, and then actually they'd run an asbestos-covered heating chase up to the upstairs, because it can actually get cold here in the winter. And it had been a Moorish arch alcove. It's kind of like in which they then walled over. And we saw some of the old wood that was Long Bell from Tennessee, a lumber yard out of I think Nashville called Long Bell, and they had set up their California lumber yard in Weed, California, which is a big lumber town because they were just taking trees off the Sierra Nevada, and the wood in this house came from the Long Bell Weed lumber yard in 1928, the year after it was started. And we're kind of like, so it's a Tennessee lumber yard, and we're in San Diego. And one thing we know is that all of that was old growth trees. So this whole house so that's the kind of details that you get. I think you're probably right. I'll look in, for New England. But there's an amazing amount of New England out here in California.
Yeah. Well, just the history of what's happening all over the United States at that time. Russwin was going to be shipping coast to coast. That's to be sure. And I never gotten that far north in California, but I was just in Colfax, which is probably 30.
Oh, you mean as far north as Weed? You mean?
As Weed, yeah. I never got that far north. But that's that's an amazing part of the state, and I can understand, how important that lumber would be.
Oh
in the
yeah.
structure.
I mean, they were building. It's California, just one long succession of booms and busts in terms of real estate. By the way, there was an article in the Times recently that talked about how funny it is that the sound of weed, which has always been a big lumber industry, is now getting into cannabis.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my being in Colfax, there were parts of the general area where you didn't get curious. You didn't drive down some roads because these guys are growing material that's exceptionally valuable, and they don't want you picking anything out of the ground.
And they're sampling the wares so that else it can get a little squirrely and unpredictable.
Exactly. Right.
No. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, that's fine. Thank you very much. I took some fairly rudimentary notes about exactly what the process would be with the drill press. I may come back to you and just say, listen, here's what I have. Can you correct me in written form, in an email, that kind of thing? And that would be great. I'll talk to my guys. There is one comment that you made in this that I feel which is not pertinent to our, we may just wind up going with the Baldwin. We'll see what the locksmiths, have to say and what they can do about it. I was so thrilled by your, immediate pickup on it being Royce rather than Rolls that your other comment, which was what you need is a time machine, causes me to refer you to A Winter's Tale by Daniel Halpern. Because the lovely detail in that is there is time travel in this book. It's a novel from, I think, the late 80s, which was made into a movie that wasn't a very good one. It's a kind of fantastic movie, kind of fantastic book with a bad movie attached to it. There is a guy who repairs a steam-driven printing press with hot lead in New York in the 1880s. And he is involved in this whole time travel thing, and he comes to New York in the 1980s or 1970s, where there is an eccentric millionaire who owns the newspaper and still uses the original printing press and has never been able to find a mechanic of any competence. And then this guy miraculously shows up who seems to know it as if it was 1880.
Well, I'm a big fan of Doctor Who. I've been watching since the 70s, so I completely believe in time travel.
Oh, absolutely. And all the grandfather paradoxes and all those wonderful things that go with it. And as a follower of Doctor Who, I think we can both say you hate it when people refer to him as Doctor Who. No.
Well, there is no him.
No, there is no him, and he is just Doctor. There is no doctor named Who.
He is the Doctor. Yeah, but he's right. He's wonderful. The Doctor. Yeah, it's Tom Baker.
Well, my daughter who's 20 is now a big fan of the Doctor Who series.
Oh, that's great. Tom Baker's always been my favorite. It would make me groggy on Monday mornings because it didn't come on till 11 in Chicago, where I grew up, on Sunday nights.
Right.
Yeah, there's some exceptional storytelling in that. The longest running TV show in the history of television. If you're not into it, then I'm sure you're into something cool as well. But you can't go wrong.
No, it's cool stuff. Listen, that is wonderful, and I will refer you if you're ever looking for a book that
Winter's Tale.
A really well-written book, and I just love the idea that if you wanted job security, all you need is to come back 100 years later and find the appropriate eccentric millionaire and repair his old, steam-driven printing press.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great tip.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Richard, and I may be back to you for some further advice. And if it does come to it, we'll just put in Baldwin's. But if we keep the 100-year-old stuff, we definitely will try and do that.
I would definitely modify that trim before I spend $1,000 on Baldwin, even though I am a huge advocate of Baldwin. I love their product, but you've got a place to go to first. So there you go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You too. Bye-bye. Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.